The left is once again pushing fake news about U.S. immigration policy, and it's backfiring. This picture of children on the floor of a holding facility set off a firestorm. Democratic lawmakers and members of the media are blaming the Trump administration for it. But there's just one little problem. This picture was taken in 2014 at the height of the Central American migrant crisis under the Obama administration. It's interesting that all these people had nothing to say about it back in 2014, and now they're trying to pin it on Trump.
Vice President Biden, as a presidential candidate in 2008, you supported the border wall, saying, unlike most Democrats, I voted for 700 miles of fence. In 2008,
I voted unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it. I voted for 700-mile fence.
Are you prepared to say tonight that you and President Obama made a mistake about deportations? Why should Latinos trust you?
What Latinos should look at is comparing this president to the president we have is outrageous, number one. We didn't lock people up in cages. We didn't separate families. We didn't do all of those things.
Well, former Vice President Joe Biden defending the Obama administration's immigration policy during last night's debate, but did he get it right?
We're not being factually correct. When it came to Joe Biden, that he was stating that we didn't do what the current administration is doing, he wasn't telling the truth, because what happened in 2015, the Obama administration was sued by the ACLU and called the conditions at the detention centers deplorable and ice boxes. So Joe Biden should have had the audacity of just living up to the failures of the previous administration with regard to immigration and just point out the facts instead of making this an issue with the current administration.
Captured by Border Patrol agents, they came here illegally and without an adult to care for them. It's the first public look from immigration officials on what might be the country's fastest growing immigration problem. Tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors hopping the border. At this detention facility in Brownsville, Texas, children play arts and crafts surrounded by fences topped with barbed wire.
More than 50,000 children, 50,000 who came into this country on their own illegally without their parents. Federal officials say it's happening in record numbers, up 90% from last year.
And then they'll be taken to, this is what we have. This is what we call a pod. We have 4 pods in here. And these, you'll see these decorative colored things. Those are guard stations. They're 5 feet up in the air. So each guard station will have 4 agents.
There's a photograph from 2014 that has suddenly gone viral again this week that shows you at a holding facility walking past what appears to be children in cages. This photo that is now circulating now and being used as part of the Trump administration's argument that they inherited a bad situation that you...
Chain link, barriers, partitions, fences, cages, whatever you want to call them, were not invented on January 20, 2017, okay? You've got to find places quickly to put kids. You can't just dump 7-year-old kids on the streets. They put those chain link partitions up so you could segregate young women from young men, from kids from adults, until they were either released or transferred to HHS.
Those who make it to safety often don't get far. When border agents find the children, they take them to government buildings, such as border control centers, even an Air Force base. According to the Los Angeles Times newspaper reporting, many sleep on plastic mats on dirty floors with nothing but flimsy foil blankets. Republicans point to the president's 2012 order that protects some children from deportation, but that applies only to those who entered the United States before 2007, not these kids. And besides that, there have been many, many, many interviews with these children. And according to the human rights organizations, nobody has found any kids who say they're here because of politics. This bickering that's happening, well, we'll report. You decide.
There are no official numbers regarding how many have crossed illegally into Mexico so far this year, but migrant advocates told us it's clear there's a surge. They include people like Victor Sanchez and this group of women and children who traveled nearly 500 miles from Honduras. They've heard a rumor, he says, that there's amnesty in the United States.
And according to the human rights organizations, nobody has found any kids who say they're here because of politics.
The White House says that smugglers in Central America are spreading misinformation, telling families that if a child arrives in the United States, the government here must allow the child to stay. President Obama is proposing new powers that would give the U.S. government more discretion for returning these unaccompanied minors to their home countries, hoping that if children are sent back quickly, this will deter more people from beginning their dangerous journeys north.
At how the Obama administration and you as Secretary of Homeland Security handled this back in 2014, when there was also a spike in children, most of them unaccompanied, coming across the border. You started jailing entire families, separated children from their parents, and these pictures that we're putting up from 2014 show pictures of unaccompanied minors in effect, jail situations. As you look back on that, did you handle it so well?
We expanded family detention. We had then 34,000 beds for family detention, only 95 of 34,000 equipped to deal with families. So we expanded it. I freely admit it was controversial. We believed it was necessary at the time.
We didn't lock people up in cages. We didn't separate families. We didn't do all of those things. When families come across many are seeking asylum, many not eligible, but they're seeking asylum, they're entitled to a hearing. They're entitled to be determined whether or not they meet the criteria for asylum. We found when we did that letting people not be put behind bars or in a cage, families separated, or even held together, that they showed up for the hearings.
What percentage of the people show up for the asylum hearing?
So it depends on the demographic, the court, but we do see too many cases where people are not showing up. We did an expedited pilot with family units this year with ICE and the immigration courts. Out of those 7,000 cases, 90 received final orders of removal in absentia, 90%.
90% did not show up?
Correct.
Okay.
That is a recent sample from families crossing the border.
So they showed up for the hearings. They didn't go, but
Joe Biden is a dummy.
Think about what this president has done. Everything about immigration he's done to try to scare people, to try to worry you all. There's an invasion coming. There's an invasion coming up from through Mexico. Mexicans are rapists. I mean, it has been, to me, there is no rationale based on necessity for what he's doing. And it's making us in this country look like, not resemble who the world thinks we are. And it hurts us internationally.
Get him out of here. Get out. I am your voice.
We didn't do all of those things.